What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 34 of Clips in Dip. I am Chuck Mockler, joined by Adam Osland. William Updike is unavoidably detained. Is he working? Is he out on the town? We never know. But we are here to bring you the Clippers news and Clippers talk today as well. We're going to be talking Kawhi Leonard returning to practice in a limited fashion 2 days in a row, which 2 is always better than 1 in these instances. We're going to talk what Derrick Jones Jr., his injury means to the team, especially with the upcoming game against the Nuggets on Friday. Going to preview that game and then also kind of, I don't know if debate is the right word, but figure out where we think the Clippers are going to be at this trade deadline. Before we get into that, thank you for watching us. Thank you for listening to us. If you want to watch us and you've only experienced the audio, check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. And if you want to just listen to us, you're tired of seeing our ugly mugs, listen to us anywhere you get podcasts. Adam, you're not in your car, I don't believe, unless you got a Pimp My Ride setup going.
I have met Exhibit at a Clippers game once before, so
incredibly nice person.
So
Exhibit
nice.
Is so friendly.
Might have been blasted, but either way, he was super
Hey.
nice. And I told him how good he was on the Compton album, which I think is severely underrated. His verse was awesome, so love that guy.
If you meet a celebrity and they're wasted and they're nice, infinitely better than if they're wasted and they're mean.
Yeah, never meet your heroes sober. I think it's the saying.
I know a guy who was doing a stand-up show in Miami, and Dan Marino was there. And he was
a-hole.
I heard the opposite. I heard he was incredibly friendly. He loved this guy's set, and then invited him to brunch the next day.
What?
And then the guy followed up with his assistant, and the assistant was like, "You're not fucking coming to brunch, dude."
I've met him once, and I did not. I know you're a Dolphin fan. I'm not trying to ruin anything for you.
Of all time, some would say.
But all I've heard was worse and worse stuff about Dan Marino. But hey, great player. Maybe a little bit salty because he never got that ring, and everybody always reminds him of it. Like,
you don't gotta bring it. You reminded me of it. He had to play on concrete, man. Give him a break. You're not in your car. What are you drinking today? I'm drinking tea. I'm still battling this cold or whatever's going on.
I got a Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, Christmas themed. And I gotta say, while Diet Coke is like a totally different type of cola, you can tell the distinct difference between that and a regular Coke. This does taste pretty damn similar to a regular Coca-Cola. Some say it is the best diet version of a Coke, and I'm kind of signing on with that. Plus, they were free upstairs.
Well, I'm glad Will Updike is not here because he might have a Diet Coke tattoo. The man loves Diet Coke. I'll let you guys debate that on the next episode. Let's get into what everyone's been in Twitter about. Kawhi is practicing limitedly, I think, is the important thing. We're all about putting caveats and tempering expectations here on Clips and Dip.
The limited was predicted. Limited practices to start was predicted.
Absolutely.
Expected.
Per Ty Lue, he said he did offensive script, defensive work, just no contact, but he did pretty much everything else. He looked good. He's not playing this week, but he's getting better. Basically the same news. That was from Tuesday. Basically the same news today as well at practice. They're just kind of taking their time.
I was encouraged the fact that he did practice again in consecutive days.
The 2 in a row. I love that because I think I was actually more encouraged today because I was like, oh, he's in the limited practice. God, I hope he can practice again tomorrow.
I honestly was a little bit surprised that he did a back-to-back right away. Non-contact, as you mentioned, limited out there, but he said full speed. They went 5-on-0 offensive script stuff, so 5 guys against air out there running down the floor, and full speed is meaningful to me. That's one way to really test out that knee. Even if it's non-contact, it's still a lot of exertion there. And like we're going to find out real soon, I'm sure, within the next couple of days or not, maybe if he does get back to some contact drills. Like at some point, I would guess by, let's say, next Monday, we find that out. Coach Lue said he's not sure. He's not sure when he's doing it. Said it over and over again. But I just wonder, okay, so he's done this 2 days in a row. At what point do you give it a shot with a little bit of contact out there?
Yeah, and if you kind of look at the Clippers' schedule, I would imagine they have the game on Friday against the Nuggets. They're not going to be doing a incredibly intense practice tomorrow, would be
I
my
think it's a
guess.
travel day.
Yeah, they're traveling. They're going to get there and do walkthrough. Then they come back, I'm assuming Friday night. So they got Saturday and Sunday. The Jazz on Monday at home. They'll practice Sunday, probably.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Kawhi's not going with them to Denver, so
No. Not going with them to Denver. Yeah, I would probably guess. And then they have a couple more days off, right? So they play the 16th and they play again the 19th away. So kind of with the travel, there's some weird, like there's some spots to pick if you're the Clippers for that full contact practice. I would be incredibly encouraged. I would not be incredibly surprised if we got another kind of a piece of candy update when it comes to Kawhi being ready. Maybe it's a little more contact or something like that. I think next week is when we can expect that.
they're hitting him with the foam fingers as he's going for layups, something like
Oh
that.
yeah, they got the best basketball drill tool in the world, just giant foam hands. But yeah, and it's coming at a time when I think a lot of people, you mentioned it, right? Like it's December, it's maybe early January or something like that. I'm still just strictly for the spite aspect. I want him to come back on the 27th, just so it's not before Christmas. I'm purely being spiteful for that.
I think that's a good date. A lot of people have circled that one. It makes sense. It's a home game. Uh, I just feel like if he's 100%, I don't care if it's a road game or not. Beggars cannot be
I was
choosers with
gonna
Kawhi
ask,
Leonard, you know?
do we care if it's a home or an away game? Well, I mean, in my heart, I would love for Clippers fans to get to see Kawhi return at home. But if he's ready to play in, what is it, Memphis? If he's ready to play in
Memphis,
Memphis on the 23rd,
sure. If
we'll
the
need him.
second game in Dallas, like they are going to need him very soon here with how tough the schedule has been. You've outlined it. And I just feel like if he's 100%, he should be playing. If he's 100% and
Yeah.
good and ready to go and he's gone through everything, why wait for a home game just to give the fans the first taste of Kawhi Leonard being back? Why not just do it where you have a chance to win a monumental game or at least a big early season December game? Like one of those games against Dallas could be big. Game against the Memphis
I
Grizzlies, who have been
mean,
playing really good basketball, could be big for standings upcoming.
we're 3 games. So the Grizzlies are 3 games ahead of us. The Mavericks are 2 games ahead of us. So the standings are tight. We talked about it last episode with all 3 of us, but that's how close we are to, the top of the mountain. The bottom of the mountain is not that far away. The Clippers are 2 games away from the 12th spot.
Yeah.
Things can change quickly, obviously, with how tight these standings are. But as it gets shooken out a little more, you would rather be at the top, closer to that top, than that 12th seed. So it's a tough schedule. I wish he was able to come back against the Jazz, because what better team to come back to after a long-term injury than this version of the Utah Jazz?
Might have to play that long against them. Might only have to play 10 or 15 minutes. Just there's your contact drills. No, I don't want to disrespect the Jazz like that. You never
You
know. The
can.
Clippers lost to Portland earlier this season. It seems the Jazz, though, have been brutal so far in the West, which I'm kind of surprised by. They got more talent than that.
Purposely brutal, though, I think is
Capture
maybe
the
key.
flag.
Yeah.
Markkanen has just been abysmal so far this season, I would say, relative to his standard play. He hasn't looked
Yeah.
like the same player, and I would be concerned after they just gave him $200 million. I do not understand why he hasn't quite looked the same. Has he been dealing with an injury?
Oh,
What is it? Because I was kind of surprised the first time they played him just how poorly he looked.
yeah, man. He's averaging his lowest since 2021.
Was he in Cleveland still then?
Yeah.
Yeah, like competing with other guys. He's supposed to be the man now, the lead guy for the Utah Jazz. And at times has looked like damn near a top 15, top 20 player in the league when he's been at his best with everything he can do out there on the court. It's surprising to me, but maybe it's institutional tanking for Cooper Flag. I just don't think the
Or
players ever
whoever.
Yeah, the players
Like,
don't care about that stuff, though. That's
no,
something you can do with lineups and rotations and who you put out there, but the players don't care about that. I know there
no.
was a timeout conveniently taken against the Lakers that costed them a basketball game, but right at the very end with Colin Sexton. But I still feel like the players should be given maximum effort. Why does Marketing look like this right now? I don't get it. He's in the prime of his career.
Oh, must be a horrible place to live. Do we think minutes restriction for Kawhi when he comes back? Do you think with all that they've talked about we want to make sure he's good to go, we don't want him to come back, is it crazy to think there wouldn't be a minutes restriction?
Yeah. There's definitely going to be a minutes restriction. There is for Norm when he comes back. There's for
Yeah, that's true.
everybody. Like, why would it not be for the guy with chronic
It
knee
feels so
issues?
fluid though, because they're like, oh, it was a minutes restriction, but the game was close.
Yeah, the reasoning behind what they did in early 2022 when he first came back and was on 21 minutes, I think was the maximum he could play the first couple of games, and then he was
Was
coming
that
off the bench.
that's definitely that would be crazy. I'm not going to suggest that because that went so poorly.
I can't remember. Some people are saying that was Kawhi's idea. Some people are saying it wasn't because that would help him play in the fourth quarter if he didn't come off the bench till earlier in the game. That would give him
No.
extended minutes later in the game. And he did, to his credit, hit a big jump shot, I think, over LeBron against the Lakers late in that ball game that helped them win. But I don't think Kawhi even said, I remember like a couple days into that, he was like, nah, we killed it. We killed it.
Yeah,
It's
he's like,
over.
I think he said like we're not doing this again or something like that. Um, yeah, minutes restriction makes sense. We were going to talk about it in the second segment. We can kind of lead into it now. The Clippers are down guys right now that could play the wing. Derrick Jones Jr. going to be reevaluated in a couple weeks, which sucks. Terrence reevaluated, I think, at the end of this month or something like that. So I kind of talked about this, I think the last episode, where it would be bad luck for, if you believe in it or not, or just bad circumstances for Kawhi to come back. And now it's like, we have obviously always needed Kawhi on this team, but to have that extra, hey man, we got guys out, that just makes it a little tougher, I think.
Like
To
you
come
got
back.
these patchwork rotations around
Yeah.
Kawhi as he's trying to figure things out. That's just a lot of moving parts to have to work through. Maybe the good news is, okay, so a reevaluation on Derrick Jones Jr. about 2 weeks from now.
Mhm.
Terrence Mann, I think, is about 2 weeks away because his reevaluation was 3 weeks, and that was last Wednesday, a week ago. So he's got, I think,
Oh yeah.
2 more weeks on this. It's possible that Kawhi comes back at the very beginning of those guys returning to the game as well,
Yeah.
if everything goes according to plan. But when you're talking about a hamstring and then a fractured left middle finger, who knows? I worry about. I think you brought this up when you first heard that it was a hamstring injury to Derrick Jones Jr. For an explosive athlete like that. There's a little bit more concern out there because he needs his bounce. That's how he helps this team. He needs that explosiveness. So if they have to be overly cautious with him, fine, because they're going to need him for the long run. He's been so good so far this season,
So good.
shooting 42% from the outside still, like
Playing
almost
good
10%
defense.
higher than his career average from there.
Transition, he's killing it. Like,
Yeah. And you want to see everybody together when Kawhi comes back. We don't need the one in, one out situation, which is kind of what we got the other night when we found out who was going to be back, but then who was going to be out with James Harden not playing that game, with Mo Bamba being out, and then Amir Coffey, and then DJ. So, yeah, it's not ideal. I don't know if that would affect Kawhi Leonard's return, if they would actually weigh that in and say, Kawhi's
yeah, I don't know.
100%, but we don't have DJ and Terrence back. Do we want to put so much on the scoring load of Kawhi to have to feel like he needs to do more out there immediately or not?
And defensive, because it's not like Derrick Jones Jr. and Terrence Mann are playing bad defense.
No, especially DJ was phenomenal, and that is the guy that they brought in. That's the first guy you bring in to say, hey, there's less on the plate of Kawhi Leonard to have to do as much defensively now. This is how we protect him and insulate him from having to do as much, and maybe that prevents him from re-injuring himself, even though I still feel like I don't know if Kawhi can help his defensive instincts. When you look at the
No,
data and it's him,
no.
yeah, whether he's playing the 3 or the 4, he's running the most miles out there, according to the Stat VU cameras. How does he adjust his game this far into his NBA career where he's at the age of 33. He kind of brought it up when they were in Honolulu. We'll see if something needs to change there, something to that effect. But I don't know. Kawhi's going to be Kawhi. Now, if there's just less guys getting beat off the dribble, maybe that means he doesn't have to rotate as much. He doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the low man as much. He's not moving as much because guys are staying in front of their man.
So this is where, and we'll talk about just a little bit because it is, we don't know when Kawhi's coming back. When Kawhi comes back, if it's without Derrick Jones Jr., if Derrick Jones Jr. is still out when Kawhi comes back, are they going to bring Batum in to play the 4? Are they going to bring Amir in to play the 4? Or are they going to have Harden? Because in my mind, you have to have Chris Dunn and Kawhi together in that starting lineup. That is a damn nightmare.
You're saying if DJ is still out?
Yeah.
So
because I don't know
you're
if
putting Norm on the bench then?
I don't know. That's what's so difficult. Is like because Norm's in the starting lineup to help with the scoring.
Yeah.
Because Kawhi wasn't able to play in the starting lineup. It's not a problem, but it's definitely something that's interesting to look at when you look at the roster in terms of who's available.
Yeah. No, it's worth thinking about. Do you want Kawhi to have to do less on the offensive end when he first comes back? Therefore, you have Norm in the starting lineup still? Or do you want him to have to do less on the defensive end with DJ still out, and therefore you have Chris Dunn in the starting lineup still?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I weigh it. No, I see that as something they're going to have to look at. If it's James Harden, Norman Powell, Chris Dunn,
That's pretty
Kawhi,
small.
Yeah, Zubats. That's not great.
And it's a lot of defensive pressure for Dunn, Zoo, and Kawhi, especially.
I guess that's the way I'm thinking of it. Even if you do have Chris Dunn out there, you're still kind of small.
Right.
So it's not like you're bigger if you have Chris Dunn instead of Norm Powell. I don't know.
It's hard, right?
I do think Batum is going to play on Friday against Denver.
We need him, yeah.
As Coach Lou brought up how they're going to do it, it's going to be matchup dependent, whoever plays between him and Amir Coffey. So the hope is, maybe Terrence is back by then, or maybe Derrick Jones Jr. is back right as Kawhi is hitting the ground, and we don't have to worry too much about this. That would be perfect. Yeah. If you do have to worry about it, I might lean into having more defenders out there just so it's still different, having to react to what your man is doing in front of you rather than creating off the dribble for yourself. That might be, there's more explosive movements maybe if you're having to chase somebody around than having to just get to your spots on the floor and get to your mid-range.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Tyler will figure something out. Let us know what you think. It's been a lively debate on Clippers Twitter. People want Derrick Jones Jr. to play the 4. I think he's maybe too small to play the 4, but he's been doing well. It's weird. It's a weird traffic jam. Yeah. And with
he's
Kawhi,
been okay against Jokic in the 2 games too when he's gotten cross matchup against him. So
that's true. It's a weird traffic jam to have. It's like a traffic jam where everyone's just telling everyone to go. It's like a polite traffic jam is what's good for the Clippers rotation.
No, it's your turn. No, it's your turn.
Dude, exactly. Coming up, we're going to be talking about the matchup against the Nuggets and just a little bit more kind of about the lineup stuff. But first, there's going to be some ads if you're listening on audio. If you don't want to deal with the audio ads, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. We got audio ads and then Clippers versus Nuggets talk in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back in. It's Clips and Dip, episode 34 of season 3. I'm Adam Moslem. We got Chuck Mockler. We are missing Will Updike tonight, but we're powering through anyways. Clippers having to power through a tough schedule here, including a couple of makeup games. One obviously on the easier side, a lesser opponent against the Utah Jazz Monday night at home. But these are the 2 makeup games that happened because they didn't make the knockout round, and it starts Friday night in Denver against the Nuggets. And the only reason, as much as I wouldn't want to have to play the Nuggets again, I really don't want to have to play them again because now they're going to play them 4 times. And it looked like the Clippers had already won the season series against them because they had won 2 of what we thought was only going to be 3 games against Denver.
Damn it. Oh, my God. I didn't even put that together. Yeah.
So now the tiebreaker is still in play. Now Denver could win the next 2, and then it kicks down to if somebody wins their division, I think, and then it kicks down to conference record against your conference for the other tiebreaker.
And the Clippers conference record, as Law Murray has pointed out, of all the teams with a winning record, I believe, in the West, the Clippers are the only one with a losing record against the conference.
Yeah, were they 9-10?
Yeah.
That is a little bit of a
But the
concern.
Nuggets are 7-7. So if the Clippers win, I don't know, but it makes it tense.
What do you mean if? It's our
Yeah,
year.
excuse
Just because
me. Yeah.
Will isn't here doesn't mean we cannot say it's our year.
This is Will Erasure. Someone did say we're going to go 5-0 in our next 5 games, which is Nuggets, Jazz, 2 against the Mavericks, and
Clifford Darrell? Who?
Yeah. The Derek Jones Jr. injury makes the Terrence injury a little more difficult to deal with. Law Murray saying the available players for Friday: Harden, Norm, Dunn, Batum, Zoo. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the starting lineup, given it is going to be a rotation between Batum and Amir.
Batum
KPJ
against Jokic is a good matchup. Like, he can help against Jokic. He's always been good there.
And Zoo can do the free safety thing. Like, it's not the best situation, but it's definitely not a huge downfall. Then we have on the bench KPJ, Amir, Jordan Miller, Mo Bamba, Bones, Christie, Flowers, and Kai Jones.
I got
I'm worried
people
about
telling
the
me
bench.
I've been told Trenton Flowers should be playing center instead of Kai Jones coming off the bench,
Why
or at
not?
least that last game because they didn't have Mo Bamba.
Why not? It's big asks for Amir and Jordan Miller coming up, just kind of scoring wise. You see, I kind of see, I was reading a thread from the Lob, the Jam, the Pod. I think Batum's going to get the start on Friday. He's good, like you said, he's good against Jokic. You can't necessarily leave him alone. He hasn't had the best shooting year, but you can't leave him alone.
I lost you, Chuck. I don't know
Oh,
if it's me
no.
or you.
I think it's you.
I don't know why I'm not able to hear you.
Oh, no. Adam can't hear me, which means I could say
Let's
anything
see
I
as we
want to about
troubleshoot
Adam.
this. Still not hearing Chuck out of nowhere all of a sudden. I'm going to jump out and come back in. Hold it down, Chuck.
Sounds good. I'll vamp. So Adam can't hear me. He's leaving and he's coming back. Oh, now it's just my face on the screen. Don't like this. But yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be Nico starting this one. He's good against Jokic. I'm worried about the whistle with Nick Batum. Hello.
Damn it.
Still can't hear me?
I still don't hear you.
Oh, no.
What
All
happened?
right,
Here, I'm just going to unplug this. Maybe that'll help.
All right. Welcome to the real world of podcasting, folks.
All right. I can hear you.
You sound great. We're back.
Cool.
I was saying, as I was holding it down, totally fine. The one thing that concerns me about Batum starting is the whistle he's gotten this year. And I'm not blaming Nico for this, but the whistle has been Francophobic this season for Nick Batum. And I'm worried about that in this game.
You're blaming the FIBA rules, right? Because it made Nico Batum feel like he could get away with a lot more than he can at the NBA level.
Maybe, but it's been weird, right? It feels odd. Are you're in the Nico Batum is starting camp though?
Yeah, I thought so last night, and then today only furthered my suspicions with him saying that he's going to either play Nico or Amir based upon the matchup. And I feel like that is the way you should do it because it's not replacing Norman Powell. You're replacing Derek Jones. I understand why you go to Amir Coffey replacing Norman Powell, but if you got somebody playing the 4, you need somebody a little bit bigger. And Nico can't get up like Derek Jones Jr., but he does have incredibly long arms. He still does block shots where every once in a while he knocks it off the backboard on a rear view contest on somebody.
Blocks, yeah.
And he has been good against Nikola Jokic in the past, or at least he's a serviceable vet out there that can help them defensively, stay organized, and just make smart, high IQ basketball decisions out there, regardless if he is being switched on to Nico or not. It just gives you more options, I think, having Nico against Denver.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a guy who, like, he could start, maybe not play heavy minutes in the middle, and then also close, too, because that's going to be incredibly important against this Nuggets team. The Nuggets, and pardon my French, just beat the absolute shit out of the Hawks.
Is that French?
Was it Mierd? Would that be shit in French, I think?
Yeah. I think so.
I only know that's the one French word I know. We need the Norman Harden heater. The Nuggets are giving up the 6th most points per game and the 2nd most field goal attempts per game, which is maybe the most encouraging thing for me, for James Harden and Norm Powell to just go off and kind of just have a, like power twins moment.
I lost you again. I'm going to kick out and come back in.
Oh my God. You got to get a new computer, man. Well, we heard you say the F word. Adam, if you could send Adam a new computer, that would be great. We don't know what's going on. Like I was saying, their defense is not necessarily lighting it up for the Denver Nuggets. Adam, can you hear me? That breathing would signal no. Their defense isn't necessarily that good. And the field goal attempts thing, again, I'm more excited for that for the Clippers particularly. Adam, if you can't hear me, I'm going to drop, and you go ahead. Oh, no. We can very much hear Adam touching the mic. I don't know what's going on. Yay, nay? We can hear you. All right. I'm going to leave and then come back. All right. Now I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going to happen on this one. Jokic is averaging a triple-double. I think it's a 30-point triple-double while shooting 50%. He's going to get his points is kind of what I think we've all seen this happen against the Clippers. He gets his points, but if you can limit those assists, maybe he doesn't get into double-digit assists. That very much helps the Clippers' chances of winning this game. Another thing I'm a little worried about is Adam in his car this time. We got it?
Mirrored, yeah.
There we go. So what I was talking about, as we could hear you touching your mic, Jokic is averaging a triple-double, 30-point triple-double, shooting 50% from the floor. Let's just limit the assists. Are we in the let him score all the points camp and just not get everyone else involved?
I'm always there. And Jokic is ripe for this because he's been looking to score even more. I am worried that he's starting to figure this out. Like, okay, they're giving up a little bit more than they typically would because they don't want me to be the playmaker out there. So I'm going to take advantage of that. And that's why the numbers have been so huge, because the word has been out for some time. If Nikola Jokic is well balanced out there with his numbers, you probably have no chance. If he's getting 35 and 15, yeah, like you're cooked. But there was a game already so far this season where the Clippers won and he had 41 points. He just didn't have a ton of assists.
That, I think, is what we need to do. They take the most free throws in the league, which I don't like, especially at a home game in Denver.
I don't like that either. It'd be one thing if it happened at Intuit Dome, where they might miss 10 of them.
Right, yeah. And they are the 3rd best shooting team in the league, which is all the more impressive when you consider how many minutes Russell Westbrook is getting. He had a very bad game against the Clippers last time. I'm worried he's going to be fueled by the fans in Denver. He's going to have he's going to hit like 3 threes or something like that, where you're just like, well, we have to live with those. This is an incredible, it's always a tough test against the Nuggets, but with this roster, I mean, Harden and Norm have to, I don't know if we got another Bones Highland heater in us. So Harden and Norm are going to have to combine for maybe 60.
What did they end up having the last game against Denver, which I felt like was maybe their best win of the season at Intuit Dome? That was what, a week ago or something like that?
Yeah. Was that the 102-100 one? No, that was in April. October 26th, 109-104.
What did those two have combined?
Pulling it up right now. Wow, the ESPN site sucks for looking at stats.
I think that's what effed me, by the way, with my microphone, because I was trying to go to a game log, and both times it happened, as soon as it happened, it cut me off.
They combined for 60. Harden had 23, Norm had 37.
There you go. We
I
got the formula.
legitimately did not know that until, when I said that. So, yeah, I think there's the blueprint, right? Those two guys score 60, and I think we'll be okay.
I also worry because that was Aaron Gordon's first game back. He didn't look right. In
Ooh,
fact, they were testing him defensively. They went at him, which is not
Jordan
something
Miller.
you normally do. Hey, let's see where Aaron Gordon is at in his recovery. That's not a guy you typically want to challenge. And they got the best of him. That was the game where Jordan Miller went at him twice, I think in the second quarter for buckets. And Aaron Gordon was like, who the F is this guy? What is happening to me here? And he also missed a big three, I remember, late in that ball game as the Clippers pulled that one out. So he's probably a little more further along and up to speed. Is that their last game they played against the Atlanta Hawks? Do they have also 4 days off here?
I'm pretty sure. And he was bad against the Hawks. He went 1 for 6.
That probably means he's even more due. But
Yeah, they don't play until Friday.
I don't like what you said about Russell Westbrook because I find that highly accurate that he is so
It's just the law of
overdue
how shit
against.
works.
Yeah. His first 2 games against the Clippers, he might have shot something like 4 for 20. Maybe worse. I'm not kidding. It was unbelievable because I think he went like 0 of 8 the first game against them. He
They're
was
like
really,
1,
really
yeah.
bad. It's
Yep.
not going to last. And he's been good with finding. I'll give him credit for this. He's helped, as Doc Rivers used to say, feed the pig. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If something is working, spam it, basically.
Yeah.
He has helped keep Jokic engaged throughout the entire game. I know that's crazy to say for a 3-time MVP, but part of the reason he is putting up such stellar numbers is because Russ is assisting him a lot out there.
Yeah.
He's just looking for him over and over again.
That's an incredibly good point. Yeah, I'm a little worried about the bench. Not a little. I'm incredibly worried about the bench.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
thin right now because we talked about it. I said, and this wasn't any disrespect to Terrence, he just hasn't played that well so far this season. So when they lost him, I said, well, you're really going to feel it if somebody else gets hurt.
Yeah,
Because they could
absolutely.
just losing Terrence right now, I think. But without DJ, who's so incredibly important and was playing so well to start off this year, where they are not 14-11 without him whatsoever, now you're really going to feel the impact of losing Terrence. And I feel kind of gutted for him because this
Yeah.
would be a big opportunity to kind of right the ship and get more minutes out there if he was still available and Derrick Jones Jr. was just out. It's obviously not going to help right now. Terrence Mann's out too. So more Jordan Miller, right?
I would think so. I had it in the breakdown. We're going to need a scoring. Like, we're going to need Jordan Miller to have, he's going to have to get to the free throw line to mitigate some of the free throws that Denver's going to get because it's probably going to be a ton. Rebounding is going to be a bit of an issue. We're losing some rebounding. Not a whole bunch. It's not like Derrick Jones Jr. was vacuuming them up. But just the body's there. And Batum doesn't get a bunch of rebounds either. Like, that's not really Nico's game right now. So a lot's going to be asked to Zoo. It's a thin margin game, for more so than usual for the Clippers.
I want to say one of my biggest X factors for the Denver Nuggets heading into this season was Julian Strawther, and he hasn't been great so far. And their bench hasn't been great, by the way, even with Russ there because he got off to such a rough start. But he had a good game last time against the Clippers. I think Strawther did.
Yeah.
I want to say he had some elite efficiency out there and made some big shots, and the Clippers had to overcome that too. So that bench battle is going to be crucial to this one. What did he end up with, Chuck?
He had 15 points on 6 of 7 shooting.
Yeah, that's a pretty good game.
Not bad, Julian. Yeah, I'm a little worried about this one just because we're in Denver. Anything else that you think could maybe not go right?
They're going to be charged up. They've had so many bulletin board material type of losses where Mike Malone can say, guys, what are we doing here? This is not us.
And he will. He's not flushing the tapes. He will make them watch every possession that they blew in a 40-point loss.
I love Mike Malone because of stuff like that. But that response against Atlanta happened on the second night of a back-to-back, right? After they had just lost the day before against Washington. Against Washington. And
Jokic had 50-something in that game against the Wizards.
And they lost.
Jokic had 56, 16, and 8.
What was the final score?
122 to 113.
So the very next day, I believe, is that Atlanta game. So they
Yeah.
immediately corrected and made up for their worst loss of the season
Yeah.
and won by 30 in Atlanta after the Hawks had just won 6 straight, including just beating the Lakers. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers multiple times during that 6-game winning streak. The Hawks were playing the best ball they played in years, really. And the Nuggets made them look miserable out there on their home court.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We'll see what happens. We're getting to the player of the game picks now. We can't pick Norm, we can't pick Zoo, we can't pick Harden. maybe with this thin of a roster, we could maybe open up a spot for one of them. Will is not here. I think you picked his player of the game last time. I'm going to go ahead and say Will is going to pick Amir Coffee. I think Will would have been on a coffee kick. Probably would have been drinking a coffee while we recorded this. I think it's Amir Coffee. Who were you picking for player of the game?
I will go with, because he's not been shooting the ball well, and I outlined the numbers the other day. He's 14 for his last 52 from 3. That's 26%. That would be Chris Dunn. Now, does he bring a lot more else to make up for that? Of course. He's still a net positive out there. I'm not too concerned about it, but I also think he's somewhat due. He's not a 26% three-point shooter. He wasn't a 45% three-point shooter. He's not a 26% three-point shooter.
For sure.
He's somewhere in the middle. So can he knock down a couple of big threes? Because some of this looks like confidence right now. Or, as I heard on the Lob the Jam with Dr. Shapp and Robert Flum say, maybe part of it is because he expends so much energy defensively flying around, and therefore it takes something out of his legs with Chris Dunn. And that could be hurting his jump shot right now. So 4 days off, I'm hoping Chris Dunn has a big game. Obviously, what he brings defensively is as critical to anything or anybody on this Clippers team, because to me, he's the reminder of who they have to be. Like, this is our identity, guys. The way I play, this is how we're supposed to do things.
Write that down. A reminder of who they're supposed to be is the perfect encapsulation of Chris Dunn. I think for
his nickname, Memento.
Yeah, he's constantly oh man. All right, you're going Chris Dunn. I think, man, like, it's got to be someone on the bench, but everyone on the bench is such a wild card for how they're going to perform. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't expect the Bones Highland blow up there. Is it too much of a homery pick to pick this game for a true Jordan Miller breakout game?
No, because I think he's overdue by one game. It should have been against Houston, but they stopped going to him.
I like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Jordan Miller, and here's why. Obviously, we need his offense. We're going to need some easy buckets. We're going to need some rest. Him getting to the line is going to be huge. He's going to be tested on defense. This is another game where if you're a Jordan Miller fan, which there's a lot of people who are, and rightfully so. I love Jordan Miller. Watch the defensive possessions.
Love him.
Watch the defensive possessions. You know what I mean? Let's see if he's going to get targeted when he's out there. The bench lineups, we're going to see some horrific bench lineups tomorrow, just because we have to. Sorry, my absolute fucking lunatic of a handyman is here. So if you hear some noise, that's him. I just watch the defense, because if he takes a step defensively in this game, I will be ecstatic for his development. And I think they're going to target him. He's probably going to be out there with a lineup with like KPJ, Amir. Like, it's just, I don't know.
This is one of those games where I feel like Will Updike would make sure to say that somebody else is going to have to, hit above their average, way above it in this ball game. They're going to have to play above their heads, have one of their best games of the season, because I don't know if just having James Harden and Norman Powell
scores. Yeah, maybe it has to be 70 with this thin of a roster.
I think Denver's going to be better on the offensive end in this game. You mentioned Russ, having probably a couple of three-pointers, some of those kill shot type of looks from Russell Westbrook, if looks could kill type of looks as well.
Yeah.
Just somebody else, a lesser player on the Clippers, is going to have to punch above their weight class a little bit.
Maybe we see Kevin Porter Jr. be efficient. Maybe he hits more than 2 threes. That would be fantastic. Someone on our YouTube called him a microwave scorer. He's not a microwave scorer. He's not. 4 of his top 5
He's a
scoring
crock
games,
pot.
bro. If that. 4 of his top 5 scoring games have come in losses for the Clippers. So miss me with the KPJ microwave scoring. He does some other things well. He's just inconsistent.
Someone told me today that he's going to start in place of Derrick Jones Jr. I'm like, he's not a 4. Why would he start there? And he's like, I don't want him to. I just think they're going to do it.
What man? I love that take. I don't want them to do this bad idea. I just think they will. We're gonna have a live hang after this game on Friday. Hopefully, it's a win. We'll see what happens with that. Coming up, we're going to be talking if the Clippers are going to be buyer or sellers at this trade deadline. If you're listening, there's going to be some audio ads coming up in 3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome back to season 3, episode 34 of Clips and Dip. I kind of went a little NPR voice there for a sec. We're getting close to trade season. It's 4 days until a fair amount of guys can be traded. I would encourage everyone to look at the list of players who could be traded after December 15th because it's not very sexy. It's not a very good looking list of guys who can be traded who would really help this Clippers team. I personally think that. Adam, I don't know if you've looked at it, but I got a link in the breakdown. I just don't see it.
Well, they don't need, though, a superstar.
No.
All they need right now, honestly, is to free up a roster spot so they can convert Jordan Miller's two-way to a standard deal. That's what I'd love to see, which means a 2-for-1 trade with Bones and PJ most likely.
I like how everyone's like, well, I have one trade idea, and it's like, does it involve Bones and PJ? And it's like, well, yes, actually.
I see Keon Johnson's available on the 15th.
God, people, there were some. I don't pull receipts, but the people who are upset that we, left Keon, I don't know about that.
You heard a lot of that when they initially traded him for Norman Powell. Everybody was up in arms, like, how could we get rid of Keon?
Yeah. But yeah, the start of the season has made people, I shouldn't say start. We're almost, quarter way through the thing. Has some people wanting the Clippers to be buyers, right? To like make a move for Zach LaVine as the most underappreciated star or stuff like that. I don't think it's happening. I don't think they're going to be buyers or sellers. I think they're going to make some calls for some depth, but it's not going to be, the trade deadline from last year or anything like that. Like, it's just, they're standing pat. The start has been phenomenal, but I don't think it changes their long-term plans for really opening up the books after next season.
Did you just say they're bringing in Pat Beverly from Israel? Is that what you said?
He's hurt, so I hope not.
I'm at the point, you can call me a homer. I've seen enough to say I'd rather have Norman Powell than Zach LaVine. And when you were constructing
money-wise, come on. Yeah.
When you account for the money, but also his efficiency is unbelievable. And he gives you more defensively than Zach LaVine does. And he's much less injury prone. And then you take the contracts into the play, and there's no way I'm doing that at this point. And whenever anybody talked about trading for Zach LaVine, typically he was involved in that trade machine trade. So
he's got to be, because he's the only guy. Like, if you look at this Clippers team, who has the highest trade value right now by a couple of miles? It's Norm Powell. Like, if there was a graph of it, he's way up here. He's above everybody.
I still lean on my argument of saying, why don't we see, before we're buyers about anything, if Kawhi can stay on the court, not just get on the court, staying on the court. Getting on the court is only half the battle. Staying on the court and not having his knees swell back up and not having a reoccurrence of the same issue, that's what I want to see before anybody can sell me on, oh, we should go get this guy. Now, if you could somehow trade Bones Highland and PJ Tucker.
Oh, that's different. That's freeing up. That's getting guys who can actually play.
Well, if you could get Larry Nance Jr. somehow for them, cool.
Ooh,
You're not losing anything really, and you're gaining Larry Nance Jr. You know I love Bones, but I just don't think he's going to be playing much, so you're not losing much of anything there. And there was this Atlanta Hawks fan that actually pointed out how they could use PJ Tucker. I don't know what he was thinking, but
for what?
he said we
You need
would
an office
trade.
administrator?
He was looking at his quarter 3 numbers from his last season, I guess, in Philly or something. I don't know. He still thinks it's there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he wasn't looking at his stats from this year.
But if there's a way to get Larry Nance Jr. and not give up much, or if there's any trade out there where the Clippers don't have to give up much at all, I'm for it, even without seeing where Kawhi Leonard is yet. But when you're talking about big swings where you're likely going to have to
Crazy.
give up good players or a pick, no way am I doing that right now until I see where Kawhi Leonard's health is at.
And not only his health is the biggest thing. How does he look with the new guys? We brought in new guys to complement Kawhi Leonard's playing style and what he can bring to this team, right? Like, it's not like we like that to me, the fit, I have no doubt that the fit is going to be good, but you have to see what it looks like before you're like, what if we trade everyone for Zach LaVine? Like, we got to see what it looks like. And there's no way that, like, really, so it's Norm, second most trade value, Zoo. I'm not saying they should trade these guys, but
He's not.
Zoo,
I don't think he's eligible till this summer, though. He shouldn't be on that
because he
list.
signed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Man
yeah.
was, but Zoo isn't.
Yeah. So it's pretty much like Norm is head and shoulder. Like, they're not trading James, I don't think. But no one else. The Clippers have squeezed a lot of juice out of some of these players, but
Yeah.
no one is like, we don't have a lot of guys that teams want. This isn't a disrespectful thing to who's on the team right now. They've been playing phenomenal, and they've obviously shown they can buy into a system. But like, this isn't a team that their guys are going to get poached from.
And when you talk about let's see Kawhi with the team, I kind of look at that as, yeah, let's see if we can actually find where their flaws are with Kawhi Leonard out there before we make a move. Right? Let's see what the needs could be before the trade deadline in February, not making a reactionary trade on December 15th when
No,
so far the team has looked very solid, and a lot of us feel like all they really need is a healthy Kawhi Leonard at this point. So what holes are you able to fill, or what voids are there on this squad that you're looking to mend up? I just don't see any at the moment. I know that's crazy to see. Yes, they could use
obviously guys are hurt. Yeah, but like,
realistically, I don't know if there's a guy out there that changes the equation for this team so significantly in the short term and then also in the long term.
yeah, and yeah, there's a list of guys who can be traded on January 15th as well. That I can't seem to find right now.
Those are those New Year's Day sales.
Buy a car.
New
Everyone knows.
Year's month.
But yeah, I will say I do appreciate that people haven't sent us any trade machine ideas. Thank you for not doing that, because to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not looking at them. I'm not looking at them. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I have no interest in trade machine. None of them have ever come true. That's my thing. None of them have ever come true. I've never seen someone
You hear
say,
that, Joseph? You hear that?
no, I don't take shots at Joseph. But, like, no one's ever been like, I called it. Like, here's a 5-teamer. No.
Yeah. Where's the receipt on that trade that you had last summer that came to fruition? Where is it?
We got to get JRW on the show.
He should come on.
Get him on. But it's going to be interesting. Again, let us know at ClippersPod on Twitter, at Clippers Podcast on YouTube, if you think the Clippers are going to be buyers or sellers. And again, let's remember the expectations. I don't think the front office expectations have changed. I'm sure they're pleasantly surprised with how things have gone, for sure. I don't think they're going all in for a superstar who's going to help them win a championship this season, because we already got that guy coming back, and that is Kawhi Leonard.
Maybe in the next couple of weeks.
Maybe in the next couple weeks, just on the 27th, so Bill Simmons can feel some spite. I think that about wraps it up. Anything else on your mind about the Clips? You wanna let it go before we let these people go?
No, I'm just intrigued about Friday night and a little bit concerned.
think that's fair, man.
I'm worried about this game
I
against
think
Denver.
that's fair, dude.
How do you beat Denver? See, I said this the other night. How do you beat Denver 3 times in a row? Well, they have technically beat them 4 times in a row now going back to last season. But within the same year, they're going to beat them 3 times in a row? With all this time off, with them waiting at home, and them being hungry still because they had that bad loss to the Washington Wizards. Just one win afterwards is not going to be enough for them and Mike Malone. That win over Atlanta may not make up for everything that went wrong against the Washington Wizards. They're still going to be pissed off. So they're playing a team that has beat them twice and has beat them already in Denver early in the season. I don't know. Somebody's going to have an extraordinary out of body type of performance. I think that's not Norm or not James Harden. Maybe Zoo. Maybe Zoo goes for 25-30.
Another battle. I mean, against Jokic like that, we can see it. We're going to be doing a post-game live after the Nuggets game. Full episode on Sunday to preview the Jazz game. If there's any significant Kawhi news, we'll have something for you. If you'd like to leave a review for this pod, Will usually does this part. You can do that. We need them. You can do it over on Apple Podcasts. You can do it on Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher. I believe every place lets you review podcasts. So if you review it, let us know, and we'll read it on air if you type something funny or mean. Also, please check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. You can see our faces while we pod, and who doesn't love that? We always appreciate you no matter what. And now, Adam, one positive thing, despite what we just talked about with the Nuggets game on Friday, to send Clippers fans off in this frigid LA weather. It's going to be 59 tomorrow, by the way, so please dress warm. Way ahead of them.
Over the next 2 weeks, they only have 5 games. So it's possible Derrick Jones Jr. only misses 5 games, and Terrence Mann only misses 5 more since he's 2 weeks away from his 3-week evaluation. That would be big. They don't have a back-to-back within that stretch. Even after Friday, they got 2 days off. Then they play on Monday, and they got 2 days off. Then it's 2 games in Dallas with a day off in between. The schedule is not that brutal right now. It's not. If you were going to be injured, okay, the level of competition stuff, but it's not as compacted as it has been in the past, most very recent past. So I don't know. I think things could be worse, even though the injury front is a little bit worrisome. They could be getting these guys back and only miss 5 games without them.
We'll take it. We absolutely love it. We love the positivity. Thank you for hanging out, and we'll talk to you Friday. And as always, let's go Clips.